Today, Joe Biden continues his gaffes with a little hint of racism to boot, and Kamala snaps at reporters again over the border. We've got a lot coming up this Friday, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Friday. Yes, it is Friday. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by my friends, Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Also, Eric July, BlazeTV contributor, who is wearing one of my favorite shirts, Taxation is Theft.
You know it.
Thank you for being here, both of you.
It's good to be back with you.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a minute.
It should be a fun one for you guys today. It is just like the Biden-Harris administration is just dangling all of these wonderful little tidbits for us to talk about today. So let's get to the first one, which is that President Joe Biden was trending both yesterday and throughout the day today when he was making remarks he was talking about in Raleigh, North Carolina, about encouraging people to get vaccinated. That is, of course, what his administration does on the daily now. He has Joe Biden going out telling Tennesseans to booze, by the way, telling Tennesseans that more of them need to get vaccinated. That is what their modus operandi is. And he was ridiculed when he claimed that, I don't even understand how he says it. Latinx people were scared of getting vaccines because they were scared of getting deported. There's a lot to unwrap here, okay? So I'd like to play the clip first, and then let's just take our time dissecting this. Watch.
There's a reason why it's been harder to get African Americans initially to get vaccinated, because they used to being experimented on. The Tuskegee Airmen and others. People have memories. People have long memories. It's awful hard as well to get Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and deported.
Like I said, a lot to unravel there. So let's kind of go in chronological order here, guys. Black people don't want to get vaccinated because of he mentions the Tuskegee Airmen.
He meant the Tuskegee experiment is what he meant.
But the airmen have nothing to do with the experiment.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Tuskegee is the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, the Tuskegee Airmen who underwent that experiment.
Well, he only got the note like 5 minutes before he went on stage. He doesn't really know what he's talking about.
It's true, because before we get to the Latinx, which I was like, bless you. You need a Kleenex? Is that what you said? Before we get to that, let's go ahead and play, because Joe Biden, not that long ago, this was in February, he did actually give a different reason for blacks and Hispanics not getting the vaccine. And it wasn't because they were afraid of, an experiment in the past or of getting deported because they must all be illegal. Here's what Joe Biden had to say in February.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination at the Walgreens or at the particular store.
Those black and brown people, they just don't know how to use those computers.
They're not smart enough.
They're especially those rural ones, man. Yeah. They are bad. They are stupid. It's basically what the president was saying. Wow. Although I guess at that point, we should thank him for at least using the term Hispanic rather than Latinx. Latinx, which they can't even decide which one they want. Latinx. Latinx. Maybe that's because the majority of Hispanics are like, we don't go by that. That's actually that's just white people trying to be superior to us and tell us what we need to go by. We don't actually need to go by that. So you don't need to keep saving us, Eric. I'm sure I'm not speaking anything that you can relate to at all.
Not at all.
So you are actually not getting the vaccine, I'm told, by Joe Biden because of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was hilarious. Look, again, we know what he meant. He meant the experiment, but that's not. But even so, though, he acts as if that's not a legitimate reason. That people would be more skeptical of it because, yeah, that targeted a specific community. And it's the kind of similar thing we have right now, government trying to ram basically vaccines and trying to cure people of certain things. And we know what that resulted in. So I think that's an absolutely healthy amount of skepticism coming from that community if that is absolutely the case. But really what it boils down to is anything other than, okay, they can't concede that there are people, black and brown people, that simply have assessed the risk and said, no.
That's right.
Like, no, the data says this, I'm of this age, I'm of this health demographic. No. It's always, well, there has to be some sort of, I don't know, he's all over the place as far as why.
Well, he's giving you a pass because you must be stupid.
Right.
You
got to be stupid. You got to be stupid. It's because of this experiment. Anything other than, again, these people have honestly just assessed the situation and decided that that is not something that they want to do. And I don't like the fact that when they have this sort of dialogue, or rather it's more so discourse is going one way, they're not really even considering that. They always just assume that, okay, well, if someone doesn't have it, well, it must be because definitely, well, not if they're white. White, then you're white supremacist. Maybe that's why you don't get it.
Yeah, you're probably a MAGA person.
Yeah, or something like that. But when you're black and brown, it's because you can't get access to it because you can't figure it out or something else. There has to be something overarching other than, okay, you know what it is. You've assessed it. You've done your particular research. Maybe you've even consulted with your doctor. You've just decided that, well, that's not necessarily something for me. So they can't see that.
Well, but hold on, Eric. You're telling me that you as a black person are smart enough to do research?
Absolutely.
Are you
That's
sure?
amazing, right?
Are you sure?
Yeah, all those little computer things that are out there.
They don't know how to use those computer thingies.
we can figure those out. We can figure out what it is. But
Wow.
it's about risk assessment more than anything. But they can't ever concede. This is the unfortunate thing about how government operates, definitely with the federal government operates. They more so want to tell you what to think. They certainly won't tell you how, but it's more like this has to be the case. There's nothing outside that create these false dichotomies, which effectively is all that this is. He's creating dichotomies where 100%. Saying that the reason that they can't get it, or the reason that they don't have it, or maybe there's a vaccine numbers. I know that they're failing to hit their numbers, that their goals that they wanted to hit by July. And it has to be something like, well, let's throw some more money at it. We need more advertising. They don't know. They're not as educated on it. And that's why it's like, dude, how about this? We just don't want it. Like, that's an option, you know?
Yeah. Look, they're selling a product. They don't care about the people. But let's just wind the clock back. They've got a sector of society. And by the way, the skin pigment has nothing to do with the IQ or the EQ. Zero. What the President of the United States just said to the world is that black, brown, Hispanic people just have a lower capacity to process, to think, to do research. That's literally what he's saying. If that's not racist, if that's not profiling, then nothing is, okay? So that's what it is, because he represents the party that historically has targeted the black community in this country, that historically has gone after the black womb, after the Native American, sterilizing Native American women in this country, saying they're just not smart enough to have families. They're not smart enough to have more than 2 children, so we should sterilize 50% of their population. This is what he's saying. He's rolling the clock way back. He's rolling the clock back to, you just can't take care of yourself, Eric, right? And you're kind, so just let Uncle Sam just take care of you. Come get the shot because we know what's best,
we know
right?
Better. Yep.
Because when that sector of society, which is a very powerful sector of society, a very smart sector of society, well represented, particularly in sport, when that sector no longer bows to the ivory tower, they're going to have a real problem. And this is just another way to put the thumb down on them. Same as the immigrants. Hey, we opened the border for you. Get the shot.
Yeah.
Remember, the piper is going to play the music, and you're going to have to dance with the piper. And now all of a sudden, Eric is right. They're going, no, thank you. And they go, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you defy us?
So let's get to the second part of this, which is Joe Biden just seemingly just like making the weird statement that if you are Latino or Hispanic, you must be scared of getting deported, which is a really odd take from the President of the United States. Listen.
It's awful hard as well to get Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and deported.
I'm not worried about getting deported. I feel like I need to set the record straight, Joe. First of all, I'm not Latinx, by the way, bless you again. I just don't care to get the vaccine because, I understand that it's hard for you to imagine, not only with your state of dementia, but also with the racism that you have so boldly portrayed for years and years and years. People of different skin colors actually can think for themselves. Yep. I am what they call a free thinker, and I just don't care to get the vaccine. I know that that's shocking to the left. I'm not scared of being deported. You know why? I'm a freaking citizen. Yeah, that's why.
But look, the guy breaks his own argument. I thought you're the administration that just opened the border. I thought you're the administration that's going to make every illegal...
Why should they be? Why should they be afraid of getting deported?
Every illegal child that's coming across the border is going to have a safe home. Why should they be afraid of you, Joe? Yeah. Unless something's up your sleeve. When they're vaccinated, look, this whole thing is such a sham. Okay, it's an absolute debacle. It's an embarrassment, is what it is, right? So this is where I want to see the Hispanic community, right, and the black community going, they really do not care about it. We really are a means to an end for this party, right? And you want to fight against something, fight against this. Don't burn Portland down for Black Lives Inc. You know, take this guy on that shouldn't be in that house. That's the people's house because he profiles, no question.
It is interesting because I tweeted something about his use of the Latinx, which I still can't get over. It's a bunch of white people.
White leftists that are trying to
It's like them saying, hey, Washington elitists. Redskins, your name can't be Redskins anymore.
Yes, it's too offensive.
We're kind of proud of that.
Getting offended on people's behalf.
Right, exactly. Because, they say, well, you can't say, well, Latino is what they would say, but that is actually male dominant, and that is offensive to the gender neutral people. So we have to make an X.
Change the whole language.
Yeah, change the entire language. But it is interesting because I did tweet something about that, namely that we're not called that. We don't call each other that. That's not something that we've accepted as Latino and Latina people. And I had so many people who I think didn't realize that I am not a Joe Biden voter, that I am not a leftist, who completely agreed with me, who had she, her in their bio, everything.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because overwhelmingly nobody uses that stupid term.
But you can't shift culture if you don't change language.
That's true.
You gotta change language, and this is what they're doing on the daily, and on the double.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a break a little bit early because I do want to have time to get into. That was not. If you thought for a second that was the only Joe Biden gaffe that we had today, you would be entirely, completely wrong because we have more. Oh, yes. But it's like, who was that guy? Billy, what's his name? But wait, there's more. There's more to come.
Billy Mays.
Yes, thank you, Billy Mays. But wait, there's more to come. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Bonner Wine. So if you are a wine drinker and maybe you hear from people in your life, they're like, you need to be more healthy. You can tell them you're going to get your Bonner Wine and you are actually going to be more healthy because Bonner Wine, they actually, they have the vineyards for this wine at 9,000 feet. So the grapes are grown at these high altitudes. And what happens is it creates not only this really, really delicious wine, but it also has 10 times the amounts of resveratrol in the wine, which actually it's good for your memory, it's good for your heart, it is just good for your body. Bonner Wines also, it has less chemicals, less sugar, fewer additives, so you are actually drinking a healthier wine. So you can be like me and tell your family when you pour yourself a glass of wine, say, hey, you know what? I'm doing this for my health. Okay. Right now, you don't want to sleep on their Malbecs because they just got another shipment in and they have been flying off the shelves. There was not too long ago where we had to stop doing these ads because they ran out because it has been that popular, all right? So don't sleep on this. Right now, you can go to cowgirlwine2021.com. You can get 50% off of these Malbecs. If you go to cowgirlwine2021.com, 50% off. That is half off. You are not going to want to miss out on this deal. They are delicious. They pair great with a medium rare steak, but only medium rare. We don't accept any other ways of cooking your steak. cowgirlwine2021.com. During a White House press conference yesterday to deliver remarks on infrastructure after Joe Biden had met with a group of bipartisan senators, which we will get to. But obviously the bigger story here is the president of the United States deteriorating right before our very eyes, and also he's insanely creepy, and we don't understand why. Joe Biden was giving this press conference and started talking about the spending bill, started talking about the COVID relief packages, and all of a sudden just started whispering to reporters in a very creepy, I think, I'll get your thoughts, gentlemen, I think very combative way. Here is Joe Biden just being really creepy. Watch.
I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential. I wrote the bill on the environment. Pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. What's happening?
Why are you whispering? Why are you being so passive aggressive and combative, Joe? This is upsetting. This is the president of the United States, you guys. Can you hold on? I want to get your thoughts, but could I please just ask, what if this were Donald Trump?
Oh my God. Well, they'd certify him.
Right.
They'd certify him insane.
Right.
Straight jacket.
You're right, Yaku.
It's not. Right. No, but it's not just your right jacket. I want to tell people what you really need to pay attention to. Eyes widen. Frown in the forehead.
Yeah.
This dude is.
He looks like his head's about to explode.
This guy is
whispering.
coming unglued. He may as well be in the loony house called the White House, in an asylum. This is the same guy that reads the notes to him to public, right? They probably told him in secret, hey, this is kind of on the lowdown, on the hush hush. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't kind of want to make a big deal of it. So he goes, great, I'll whisper it. I'll whisper it.
Oh, perfect. I've got the solution.
I'll
just whisper
it. Nobody will know. They won't know we're printing money like it's Monopoly. They won't know inflation is about to hit this country upside the head. I'll whisper it. It's going to change it. That's what a crazy person does.
Yeah. Okay,
go to any loony house today. They whisper. They have signals. They do things. Their eyes get real wide. I mean, what are we doing? This was the guy to take on Putin?
Right,
right. That's right. A lot of force.
Well, you remember they were talking about the handshake there and how Joe Biden was exerting all of this strength by shaking his hand. I know Putin is shaking in his boots now, Eric, listening to this man whisper.
He's a crazy person. He's been a crazy person, but I guess you can call it elder abuse at this point. The fact that they keep throwing him out there to sort of have these conversations that he's really not equipped to have. I get the whole, I'm going to whisper deal, like kind of full like I'm trying to make a snarky comment, but it was weird because he's never done that. And I don't know, I would, going to what Yaku said, I actually could kind of believe that there would maybe be something that is on the sheet where he's like, okay, we need you to say this, but really behind the scenes, this is what's going on. I think he's crazy enough to see that and be like, okay, that's what they meant. Like,
whisper. Into the microphone, which is already amplifying my voice. So whispering.
I think he's crazy enough to do that. I think he's crazy enough that it's like, okay, keep this on the low. He's like, all right, I will. Whisper it in the microphone.
That's what happened. Like, this is on the low, Joe. He's like, good, no problem. I whisper it. No problem.
I got it.
I did it, boys. He walks out and goes,
I nailed it.
We nailed it. We nailed it. That was good.
So very bizarre behavior from Joe Biden, and unfortunately not the first time that we've seen bizarre behavior from Joe Biden. But he also, when he was going out to this press conference, he was speaking on the bipartisan infrastructure deal that he said that he had reached with it was like 5 or 10 Republicans. Still going to be an uphill battle. However, He really played gotcha with the Republicans here, because he also said after this happened that he would not sign the bipartisan infrastructure deal if Congress doesn't also pass a reconciliation bill. So he said, I expect that in the coming months this summer, before the fiscal year is over, that we will have voted on this bill, the infrastructure bill, as well as voted on the budget resolution. But if only one comes to me, this is the only one that comes to me, I'm not signing it. It is only in tandem. So it seems, I know everyone here listening would be shocked to hear that someone like Mitt Romney or Susan Collins or one of those would be played by the left. Shocked that they might get played by the left, but it appears that they just got played by the left, because now Joe Biden has the optics of saying we reached a bipartisan deal. Even Joe Manchin has the optics of saying I came up with this bipartisan deal. However, nothing gets done unless you pass their reconciliation, unless you pass their budget bill. They will not agree to any of it. I just have to wonder, how stupid do these Republicans have to be? How much damage do they have to do before they realize that the left is playing for keeps, and you cannot reason with them that way?
You want to go?
I mean, I've been saying you can't reason with these psychopaths anyway. But look how
right. But at what point do you understand that?
Yeah.
How many times do they have to play you?
Yeah,
how many times do they have to play you and put politics over the good of the country for them to realize this? They played it with all the COVID relief stuff. They held that until Republicans.
Yeah,
they got
it's
what
all
they wanted.
optics. It's like, because what it does is it allows the national conversation to be changed, and what they'll say is, well, the Republicans didn't want to meet us halfway, though we attempted to. So what it does is make them look bad. Now, never mind the fact that I'm so tired of the term infrastructure, because all that means is whatever they want it to mean, any and everything. And
actually, my nails are infrastructure.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But it's so frivolously, they're just spending money just at a ridiculously insane amount, in addition to
not actual infrastructure.
Well, that's because childcare is infrastructure.
Right. Where, going to your point with also the addition of how much money that's been printed within the last year, I believe there's more money that's been printed like over the last year, previous 50 years. It's insane. So obviously the inflation, in addition to the spending, it's just going to be a problem for the American people that they claim that they're attempting to help with these types of bills. And this is why so many people that value liberty, especially like the libertarians, focus so much on the money and fixing the money, because if you fix the money, a lot of these problems get solved in itself.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, the general American public can't seem to understand it. They see dollar signs, $1 trillion, they're going to spend this much money and I'm going to get it back. Not understanding, let's say, or not get it back, or they think they're going to get something, but not understanding the actual consequences to the spending habits that are being practiced right now, but more specifically, how much money is being printed in addition, which again is devaluing actively your money. So when the milk, when the costs more gas or whatever it is, costs so much more, you're in trouble, right? And you're wondering like, oh, I was on this $40,000 salary and it went this far. It don't seem to be getting as far. You probably should have been checking these politicians when they were spending money frivolously, as well as the Fed printing money willy-nilly.
Yep. This is one that I want people to really not miss. This is where I want people to understand. This is not going to be popular now. You're going to like this. but the viewers may not like this. This is the moment where the penny drops, where you go, it's also very, very unhealthy in the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. It's also very asleep. Yeah. Because they get caught off guard by a minor league player. Yeah. Okay, who's half senile. Probably with Pelosi and Nadler and, in Schumer.
We just want a bipartisan bill.
It's a bipartisan bill. And we trust them. We go, guys, they're here to play fair. Come on, let's play fair. Hey, I'm not signing it unless you do this. When last did they pass a bill that was not loaded?
Yeah, that's never happened.
When last did they pass a bill that was not, oh, here's your stimulus check. By the way, we're funding Planned Parenthood. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're sending $40 million for Kenyans or whoever, or Moroccans or people in, Pakistan to figure out if he drops his drawers, whether he's a he or she. I mean, it's always loaded. So how does any conservative politician walk into any negotiation not with that as the first thought? They're here to play me. They're not on my team. There is no bipartisanship. So shame on those conservative politicians. It's time for a new class. Mm-hmm. It's time to clean house. I'm a term limit guy, man. Okay?
Amen.
Give
I
a
don't
guy
think
6
anyone
years
here would
as a
disagree.
senator and go, fix it, buddy, or you live with it for the rest of your life, and then go back to work.
Yeah, they don't want that.
Go back to work.
Go back to what?
Like,
They're unfamiliar.
work.
Yeah, they're
I'm rich
unfamiliar with
now,
that.
man.
Yeah,
Now we're
unfamiliar with
shocked.
that term. Yeah.
I'm verklept. Joe Biden is not playing fair. He's not signing the bill.
Right. Clutch your pearls, everyone. We were shocked to find that out. All right, we've got more to come, including Kamala Harris snapping at reporters again over going to the border. But hey, at least she's sort of going. We've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So if you have not yet tried Built Bar, you're missing out because it is a protein bar. So it is going to be healthy. It is going to be high in protein, high in fiber, very low in calories. And I'm talking like most of the ones that I eat are 130 calories to 150 calories, but they've got the protein there to keep you full. However, it is not going to expand your waistline. And as an added bonus, it actually tastes good and not like chalk or cardboard like the typical protein bar. I know, Yaku, I've given you, I'm a Built Bar dealer here.
I was
so I've given
I
you
was
some.
looking for one before the show because I didn't have lunch today.
Oh
And
no,
I
you
couldn't
should have come
find
and
one.
told me.
It is,
you know the place to find them is my
listen,
dressing
I was
room.
just on a trip with a bunch of athletes, real athletes, this last week, and they all eat bars. And I said, guys, drop that bar. And the guys, this is the greatest bar. And I said, give me the bar. 16 grams of sugar, 24 grams of sugar. I said, welcome Built Bar. And they love it.
Yep,
they
because
love
it's
it.
low in sugar.
Absolutely. And real chocolate.
Yes, the chocolate is the best part of it. I mean, it is quality chocolate. Again, you're going to feel like you're cheating on your diet, but you're not. You're eating something that is good for you and is going to help you stay on track. All you have to do is go to built.com, use promo code news15. Right now, you can save 10% on your order only at built.com, promo code news15. Vice President Kamala Harris arrived in Texas today for a long-awaited border visit. And when I say long, I mean it's only been like over 3 months since she was appointed border czar because of this whole crisis. And she has failed to come here and even visit. Now, of course, I'm sure it would not shock any of you to hear that she snapped again at a question related to her coming to the border to visit. And I mean, maybe why it took so long, I don't know. But she was in El Paso today. Here is a little bit of that testy exchange. Watch.
Did you decide that right now was the right time to make your first trip to the border?
Well, it's not my first trip. I've been to the border many times.
As the person in charge of the response.
So, the important aspect of this visit is leading this visit after the work that we did in Guatemala and Mexico. Because as I've long said, I said back in March I was going to come to the border, so this is not a new plan. But the reality of it is that we have to deal with causes and we have to deal with the effects. So being in Guatemala, being in Mexico, talking with Mexico as a partner, frankly, on the issue, was about addressing the causes, and then coming to the border at the advice and actually the invitation of the Congresswoman is about looking at the effects of what we have seen happening in Central America.
See, that answer right there, in my opinion, is the reason why we have to be very careful when we elect females as important people in this country, because you could just the attitude on her face. Yes, yeah, it's just so catty. I can't handle it. You would never see that from a man being asked that question. I mean, unless it was Joe Biden and he was going through a little sundown phase, and I know that he gets very combative whenever he's asked a question like that. But it's just so unprofessional. But it was always part of the plan. It's just a coincidence now, Yaku,
yeah, it's a coincidence.
Trump was coming and she needed to beat Trump.
This woman, yeah, exactly. Trump's coming. She's so ill-equipped for this job.
Yeah.
I have been to the border before. 25 years ago? We're talking about cause and effect. She mentions cause and effect. I'm going to go to Guatemala and Mexico, cause and effect. Here's the cause of the border crisis. You need to go to Washington, D.C. to find the cause. You opened the border. That's the cause. You send a signal and a message to all of South America, please flood the border because you're going to be safe. That's the cause. Cause isn't down there, it's optics. This is like a vacation trip, okay? And why now? Why not at the height of it? And why El Paso? Why not Roma, Texas? Okay, why not McAllen,
Texas? That's a great point, because
Did
that's
she get
where
on
the
a bus
crisis
at
is.
McAllen where people don't even get screened by CBP anymore? They just get on a bus, go to McAllen, and they just release them?
Right.
Do you show me the pictures of Kamala on the bus? You know, show me. Let's talk to those people. No. She's on the tarmac. I'm here. It's like me saying, hey, I've been to France. Where were you? Charles de Gaulle Airport. Good luck, buddy. You were in the airport. You might as well have been in Dallas. Have you been into the community? No, she does nothing about the community, okay? The cause is you're the cause. You and Joe Biden are the cause for our border crisis.
I was actually just waiting for her to say Latinx, Eric. I was waiting for her to talk about the Latinx community. But Yaku does bring up a great point when you're talking about really where the crisis has been happening. It's not in El Paso, but that's where Kamala Harris ended up.
Yeah, it's not as aggressive, obviously. There, and really, El Paso has never been that way anyway. You'd have to go to the McAllens of the world, the Laredos, where I was at, and all of that to really see what's really going down there. And what really has been going down there for a bit, but especially now since, of course, the signal, and we've covered it on the show. A lot of the folk from down there in Central America felt as if, okay, well, with them being elected president, this is my chance, this is my time. So unfortunately, there was an incentive created for these people to do exactly this. And that's what obviously created the problem. So whether they are trying to get them up out there, it doesn't change the fact that, well, you basically said, hey, come here. And then you pulled a bait and switch, psych. But it's still, will it be with the numbers? Can you actively actually suppress that? It's going to be a very difficult thing, and that's obviously what's created the crisis there. But they chose El Paso. I think that's tactic, because you're not going to really see a whole lot of the craziness going on there. So she can at least fall back on there. Like, hey, it's not at least that bad. But you're not going to see the grimy stuff that's actually happening as a result of not necessarily just the policy per se, but just the mixed signals that you were sending to people that were incentivizing them to take this trip in, let's say, record numbers because of what you had been telling them and what your party had been telling them. So I think that's the optics part of that. She's going to say, okay, I'm here. At least I went there, but she's going to freaking El Paso. And I know for people that watch the show from around the world aren't really going to understand that capacity. Right. El Paso has never been. I'm not saying that there isn't immigration that's happening in El Paso, but El Paso has never really been that city where a lot of those problems that you deal with are there. You got to go the other side. Again, the McAllens, the
poorest
Laredos.
Holes where they're flooding through.
Exactly.
Eric, I want to give people a visual. Her saying I'm on the border, right? Let's go back to 9/11. Her saying I'm on the border would be like Rudy Giuliani being in New Jersey, saying I'm at ground zero.
Yeah.
Okay? You're so far from the action. No, you know what he did? He walked into the rubble, where it was still smoking and smoldering, stood there with the firefighters who lost family members, stood there with the people and say, I'm here. Roll these sleeves up and said, let's go to work. Show me her in the river, shoes off in the river where babies are being fished out of the river. That's the border, okay? The poorest Swiss cheese holes where people are flooding through. Not outside the jet, at the jet bridge, with a red carpet and a little spritzer over here.
Hey, chilling.
And a U-tip and your little makeup. She's not on the border. She's on some neighboring bordering location. No, go and show me her talk to CBP, cold, not dressed, right? Just pull a CBP agent up and say, hey, how's your morning been? What's really going on here? Mm-hmm. Or a farmer on the border, right, that's dealing with feeding people. Nah, come on, man. She's from New Jersey saying, I'm at ground zero. Yeah. That's what this woman's doing at the moment.
Well, she can't go talk to a farmer or a CBP
They'll
agent.
Run her off.
Because they would tell her that she is the problem and it's her fault that all of this is happening, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so many options,
100%.
Right?
Are you kidding me? I mean, she knows she'll be run out of town.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. She did go to Guatemala to tell us all that. It was climate change, really, that's the issue. Honestly, Eric, if we just throw more money
every time
to these countries,
that's always the solution.
All you have to do, we've been giving them like millions and millions of dollars, but if you just give them more money, somehow they're going to block the sun.
Yeah, they're going to play honest. They're going to play honest, No, here's what you do. You shut the border down. You tell the president of Mexico, if you don't control the cartels on your side of the border, which controls 50 miles, the nearest 50 miles to the border, the cartels run, 100%. If you don't control them, we're going to bleed you dry with tariffs. We're going to shut you down. We're going to cripple your economy. You control your own people, and then you'd say the same to Guatemala. That's how you fix the problem.
The other side of that, though, would be them having to also adjust their own policies, particularly in how the federal government has just handled the disastrous drug war, which has done nothing but bolster the cartels out there. Which, again, I say this as a person that I used to go to Mexico every year for in Acapulco. For example, talking with the locals there and people that had been in America that ended up coming back, having those conversations is a really eye-opening experience. But you need to understand that even governments, the federal government in particular, and their policies in terms of how they've impacted the drug war and influenced these cartels to people are like, I don't want to live here, which I can understand it. I can completely understand why you would not want to live in those situations. But the federal government of America certainly isn't absolved of anything. And that's the problem, though, and why they would never address that problem, because then they would have to, and this is Joe Biden, he got blood on his hands in this regards as well. They would have to all look at themselves and see what policies that they have enacted that has contributed to the disaster that's going on in Mexico right now.
Yeah. All right. We've got more to come. We'll be back in a minute.
That would incriminate Joe Biden.
Well said.
The Department of Justice is suing Georgia over its new election laws that were, it's very controversial election laws that they enacted earlier this year, except, not controversial at all if you actually know how to read and then read the actual bill.
Read
I know, that's hilarious when it comes to the left, especially. So Attorney General Merrick Garland announced this lawsuit today. He said, today the Department of Justice is suing the state of Georgia. Our complaint alleges that the recent changes to Georgia's election laws were enacted with the purpose of denying or abridging the right the right of Black Georgians to vote on account of their race or color in violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Several studies show that Georgia experienced record voting turnout and participation rates in the 2020 election cycle. Approximately 2/3 of eligible voters in the state cast a ballot in November election.
Whether they wanted to or not.
Exactly. Including dead people. It was the most popular election of all time.
Very popular. They came out of the grave for this one.
That's how badly they wanted Trump out of office. So they are going to sue Georgia over these election reforms. Now, by the way, the new reforms did not change the closing time at Georgia's polls on Election Day. And current law says that as long as a voter is in line by 7 p.m., they must be allowed to cast their ballot. Also, by the way, people are allowed to drink water. You just can't be part of a campaign and electioneering there and going and trying to give people bottles of water, especially if they have Biden-Harris water labels on there. They're just trying to prevent that, right? So they're saying you can have self-service water stations right here. Everyone can have water. Don't worry.
50 feet away from whatever the actual number is. It's
not
even insane.
You can have water. Also, you can be in line and still vote. We're not trying but all of the pandemic-related add-ons that we did, we should probably take those away because they were specific for the pandemic, and it is actually election day, not election year or month. But still, the Department of Justice is suing Georgia over this new law. Who wants to take a crack at this one first, gentlemen?
This is interesting, man. And I look, to give people perspective that I know watch the show, when it comes to elections, I know I'm on the complete opposite end of the political spectrum. So everything that I in terms of how I approach it, is more so looking at it in perspective. And just imagine that with something, and for you guys that have read it, I actually ended up reading it. We covered it on one of my previous shows. There's nothing that really just signals out Black people like that.
Zero.
But what they do is, like they do with so many other things, is they have to reach. So it's this ends up impacting that. So they can't say it's wrong. No, that says racist. And then who can disagree with it being bad at that? Do you want to be a racist? You want to stop black people from being able to exercise their right to vote? Again, this is just me talking about it in context. I don't believe that's even a thing.
Well, hold on. What about the fact that you are black and you're too stupid to get an ID?
Oh, well, that's true as well.
That's you. I mean, that hurts
according
black
to him,
people.
according to him,
vaccines.
You can't find your vaccine.
Well, you couldn't find the line.
I can't do anything.
I'm surprised you could stand in line. You couldn't find the line.
How did you go to Mexico? You just said the last time that you went to Mexico. How'd you do that without an ID?
Hey, man, there are ways. There are ways. But no, like seriously, man, like that's the dialogue that we're having right now, to where they can't even defend something unless they pin it as racist. And that's par for the course. This is actually really more a social justice bullcrap kind of in action when it comes to, and kind of had its infiltrated government and everything it is that they approach. And this is why even with people that are on different sides of the political spectrum, not necessarily leftists, I tell them to be careful in trying to always pin down something as racist, because really that's what that does, is play their game. Believe it or not, there are things that are either objectively bad, or maybe things that are objectively good.
Sure.
And what the racial makeup or who that impacts is completely irrelevant to that. I shouldn't have to say, well, it's bad because it impacts black people, or it's good because it impacts black people. We shouldn't have to make that distinction every single time. But that's, unfortunately, definitely with this administration, that's where that party is going, where, okay, we can't say that you're bad, so let's call you racist, and then we can call you bad.
Look, the level of absurdity to say that because number one, you can't drink water. It's only going to affect black people.
That's stupid.
So white people don't get affected if we don't drink water in the sun.
White people don't have to drink
water.
They're already properly hydrated.
We pull it out of the air. We take the condensate. I mean, it's so absurd at so many different levels, right? Number one, no, but here's the real issue: is there shouldn't be rules. There shouldn't be concrete, hard-set rules to say on election day to protect, the right to vote, to make sure it is fair. No. You can't come here, Georgia, and draw some lines now. No. We're going to run this government with no lines. We do pencil here. We erase. We don't do ink. Nothing is set in stone. You can't come and sit in something in stone by the Georgian government here now. No. It's got to be fluid, guys, because everything's fluid. Your sex is fluid. Heck, it's fluid whether you need water or not. Everything's fluid. You're Latinx today. You're, I don't know what you are, Guatemalan tomorrow. You are whatever you want to be, right? That's the real issue. It's any state that right now is going to say, hey, we're going to fortify the process of fair and balanced election according to how it was written. No. Can't have that. No.
Yeah, which is odd.
Because you hate black people because you're preventing them from drinking water, right?
Yeah. And it's odd.
Shaming is what it
coming
is.
from the party who, I mean, if we're to vote, Joe Biden was the most popular president of all time, right?
So he's more popular than Barack Obama in the black community. Yes, he got over 80 million votes. So what are you guys worried about? Exactly.
Hello? What are you worried about? All right, we got to take a break. We'll
They're
be back.
running like a bandit because they stole it.
It's odd. Hey, those of you who are watching us right now, wherever you are watching this program, I got to tell you something. We want your help, because I have actually been under attack from the left as of late. You can go to my Twitter and you can see all of the junk that they are hurling.
Suspended, so.
Yeah, Eric can't because he's suspended because he was a bad boy.
Otherwise, I'd defend.
He said bad words. Now, all the bad words that are being hurled at me by the leftists don't matter. They won't get suspended.
But hold on,
Eric's
they suspend a black man and a Latinx?
Well, I'm not suspended yet, but I'm sure my time is coming.
But they're coming for you.
Yeah, of course, they're coming for all of us.
Oh, they're the tolerant ones,
yes,
right?
Right, exactly. Well, unless you don't believe exactly what they believe in. So do us a favor. Say something nice about us on our podcast, wherever you get your audio podcast. Go subscribe, rate, and review The News and Why It Matters. And in the review, give us 5 stars. Tell us how much you like the show. I mean, how great are all of the guests? You could say something nice about me as well if you want to, but it's not required. And let's stick it to the left already, okay? Also, don't forget to go to BlazeTV.com. If you get a subscription, you can save $10 when you use promo code NEWS. That is only at BlazeTV.com. Have a great weekend, guys.